What's up? What's up? It's your boy Tay Speaks.
It's A from the A, Arkansas to be specific. Don't get it twisted.
Tongue twisted.
And it's your boy D Norvell. And today we have a very, 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 very special guest with us today. Introduce yourself to the people.
I am Jay DeMoir, icon, Memphis, all day long.
Icon.
Icon.
Talk your stuff, man.
Yeah.
Are we
Icon.
manifesting or you feel like you were already there?
No, Google me.
Okay.
Google it.
Check my credentials. No.
Come on, you better.
Don't get it twisted, y'all. He is the only, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Only.
One of one, the only black-owned bookstore owner in the city of Memphis. That is crazy.
This is facts.
That is wild, y'all.
It's a beautiful thing.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, so when we say icon, we mean it in every sense of the
Icon
word.
living.
And that's just
I'm Soldier
one
Boy,
area,
the
you know?
phenomenon. Google me.
So yeah.
That's great. Well, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Juice 901. Today's going to be a great episode. We have a
Phenomenal
great guest
episode.
here. Phenomenal episode. We have a
Iconic.
great guest here.
Yep. Iconic episode.
Great way to say it. Great way to say it. But thank y'all as always for tuning in with us today. Tay, what are we going to talk about first today?
One thing they ain't gonna do is he gonna make eye contact with the audience every time.
He's like,
You're
supposed to.
No, you supposed to just talk. That man, he gonna stare into your eyes. Like, I want you to follow me. You know what I mean?
Loving you.
I want. If I can sing, I can sing. But now, man, I want to talk about, because my boy here, we're gonna get to know you also.
Okay.
We're going in straight in.
Well,
Random
excellent.
thoughts?
How is he feeling?
My bad. And that's rude on me. How you really feeling? So we got this segment called "How You Really Feeling," right?
Okay.
And the whole point of how you really feeling is to, when you ask somebody how you doing or what's up, you're not really asking how they doing or what's up.
Right.
But on Juice 901, we want to get a feel of how you really feeling. So it can be mentally, physically, spiritually, all aspects. How you really feeling?
If we're being candid, I'm
For sure.
frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm in a season of frustration. I'm just frustrated. I think just how we're going politically, societally, I'm just frustrated. And I think as a black man, we're not allowed to express frustration without being coined or deemed as angry, or dangerous. And so I'm just in a space of being frustrated. That's just kind of where I am. Just being vulnerable and just like allowing myself to feel it, acknowledge it, but like do something with it. I think like January 20th, which was not only MLK Day, but also the inauguration, it just had me in a space of feeling hopeless, knowing that the next 4 years that I would matter less and less in a sense. But then having to also remind myself of like, I'm the shit, like I am, and like figuring out how to walk in there and still like feel that for the next 4 years. So it's just a lot as a black man, as a parent. It's just a lot of things to be frustrated about. And even just the other day with like the Department of Education crap that's kind of going on, just like concerned about my kids, one of which has special needs and needs those accommodations from the Department of Education. So it's just a lot of frustration on many levels, but that's where I am right now.
Let me call an audible really quick, but I know y'all still got to go, and myself too. But I want to call out quick audible real quick. So last episode we did this thing where we had to choose one word.
Okay.
That we're gonna. It's basically a word you choose that you're leaning on to get you through this year. My word was faith. Your word was
perseverance.
You got to make a word too.
Consistency.
And what would be your word? Because I know you got all this going on. But what's something you remind yourself of?
Gratefulness. That's my word. What do I have to be grateful for? What am I grateful for? Because I think the main thing for at least the next 4 years, if not beyond that, is what is something that I can control. And I can control gratitude. I can control being grateful. I'm grateful that each day is another opportunity to get it right. Each day is another day to make a great decision that could propel myself and my family forward. It's another day where I can like go and expose people to things that I do in my career. And so it's just like things that I control, things that are within my sphere, that I can, influence or make better. So gratefulness would be my word, to kind of propel myself forward. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, how you really feeling? A from the A. Don't Arkansas to be specific. Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted. That is a tongue twister that took me so long to get. But I'm, like you said, your word for the year is grateful. Right now, I'm in a space of like being grateful and just like an overwhelming feeling of gratefulness. Because a lot of a lot of great things are happening for those around me, and I know it's going to happen for me too. So it's just like amazing to see God answering all these prayers for people that I love and know. And it's like, okay, I already know I'm up next. But I also want to touch on what you said about the feeling of frustration. I think, thank you for expressing that, because as Black people in general, it's hard for us to express feelings that aren't like, you know, always happy.
Yeah.
Without like fear of judgment or feeling like, you know, being the angry Black woman in my sense. So thank you for sharing that, because that's definitely a tough thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think so many of us forget that like emotions are not just a one size fit all.
Right.
Like their duality does exist. You can be angry and happy at the same time. You can be grateful and frustrated at the same time. And just knowing like as a culture, it's okay to sit in multiple feelings at the same time. And that doesn't make you less. So it's just something we all kind of need to be reminded of, specifically as Black people. Just, I know politically correct, we should use the POC acronym, but we're not people of color because we don't all gel together. We don't all help each other. So I think more so this year is like focusing on my Blackness as well. Like separating it from the POC acronym, because we don't all fit together. We learned that with voting in November. So we have to separate that and just kind of focus on, as Black people, what can we do to uplift each other? And that's just making sure that we understand it's okay if you're frustrated and happy at the same time. You're not an angry Black woman because you're frustrated with your colleague getting more than what you have and you're doing the same thing. Like it doesn't make you an angry Black man for not wanting to deal with bullshit every day. Like that's okay too, you know? So it's just learning how to just be present and deal with it and acknowledge it. So yeah. So yeah.
That's a word.
What they do sometimes.
A word. I mean, sometimes you just, that's what it is. I think I've been learning to be okay with not being okay. Yeah. And you know, like the word frustration, it really resonates with me, because I think that's where I am right now. And I'm a pretty happy, I pride myself in being a pretty happy, friendly guy, you know, person who's always made myself available, you know, for those who necessarily don't deserve my time. Yeah. And I think right now I'm learning that everybody is not worthy of your time, and that part of loving yourself and respecting yourself is knowing when to say, okay, you don't get me anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? So setting boundaries, exactly. Setting boundaries. So right now I'm faith. I feel like I'm filled with faith. I feel like I'm grateful. I'm working on, what was that word? Perseverance that we talked about last week. And I'm learning to be okay with not being okay, you know? So I feel good. I feel healthy. You know, I'm grateful for that, because life could be in so many different, you know, directions, so many different angles. But, you know, I woke up and I'm loved and I have a lot of love to give. So I'm happy for that. Yeah, for sure. I'm happy for that. Yeah. You know, I'm happy for that. So, make that contact. I'm happy for that. No, but sometimes it's different. No, but on a real note, it's different when you express it out loud. You know what I mean? It's one thing to think to yourself, man, I'm good. You know, I'm all right. You know, I'm all right. But when you tell yourself that, because you can speak things into existence. For sure. You may not be okay, but letting yourself know that you're going to be okay out loud, talking to yourself out, you can manifest that stuff. That's
why they say it loud. Yeah. I'm Black and I'm proud.
Come on,
say it loud. Come on, I'm Black and I'm proud. Come on,
but no.
Yeah.
My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just James Brown.
Yes, sir.
SpongeBob said I'm ugly and I'm proud. Y'all didn't see the episode. Right?
I did see that episode.
Okay.
Put it on the camera.
I forget. We have our competition. Did you watch SpongeBob, bro?
I did not.
Yeah, we're gonna have our competition.
We're gonna have to talk about that.
I mean, like I know the moments, but I wasn't a SpongeBob.
It's loud enough. I can hear you.
I need it.
Oh my god! Hey, I did that song though, but
I don't need it.
Y'all know I sampled that song, right?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
yeah, I heard it.
That's ironic. You did that. But anyway,
it's great.
I'll show you.
Okay.
But how I'm feeling, I would say, bruh, this is the most I've ever leaned on faith. And I'm just like, everything keep falling into place. Like everything that I've stressed about since coming up with money or and all that, it's like everything is just falling into place. And money you didn't even think you would be touching. It's like, where did this come from? It's like, okay, bet I just use this for this. So it's like, and we had our conversations like 30 minutes ago about what we gonna do. It's like, you know what, everything gonna work out. Right. So it's you kind of gotta like take your hands off of it and let God drive the wheel. And ironically, speaking of books, I had just finished The Alchemist about 4 days ago. first time reading it. Have y'all ever read The Alchemist?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
So
It's a good book.
It
Great
is
book.
a good book.
Great book.
I'm gonna add it to my list.
Yeah, it's just about a kid finding his personal journey, finding his purpose in life for the most part, and his journey on getting there. And he even when he got there, it was bad things happening, but you have to flip your perspective on what you just made happen and all that. So it's plenty of things you can take from the book. But I think that with couple that with the 4 agreements mixed with the subtle art of not giving a FUCK.
Yeah.
Right.
Those 3 books.
I didn't know we couldn't
Bro.
curse. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No, you can curse. You can curse. I just showed him saying.
Yeah, no, whatever.
In that
You're
moment.
good. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Get comfortable.
we ain't bleeping nothing out.
Because I definitely say the F word when I read the title of the book.
No, I
you're
just
fine.
converted this time. You can say whatever you want to. You can curse.
Okay,
You can curse 10 times in a row if you want.
And if we just decide to beep,
Okay.
no, we'll
Yeah.
cut it out.
Oh,
you
I
know.
feel bad. Okay.
Do
cool.
not feel bad.
But no, that is a
No.
really good book, though. It is a really good book.
It's and that it is not as mean as the title sounds. It's just more so saying pick
Yeah.
and choose what you decide to invest your energy
Your
into.
battles. Pick and choose your battles. Yeah.
Because it's easy to get mad over everything. And the 4 agreements is just like, if they do something to you, it's not your fault. It's whatever they going through.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and The Alchemist is like, my boy, keep going for your dream. So, I mean, I recommend all those 3 books. But you can also pick up a book from my boy Bookstore if you want to.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I say I'm feeling good for the most part. I'm
Good.
feeling good. Stages of life, you don't really count them. It's just part of life.
Yeah.
One more quote. I saw a quote that said, bad news happens. Bad news is a part of your good news or something like that. It's just more so just saying, it's just like, it's just a yin and a yang. It's just things will happen, but that doesn't take away from the good things that happen in your life. It's like bad news is a part of your good story too.
Yeah.
That's true. It falls into that same genre of like the quote I said on my story. Speak victory, claim victory, and act victorious. You know, your life is what you put out into the world, you know, will return to you tenfold. So you just gotta bet on yourself.
Facts.
Yeah, and I think like as human beings, we are designed to remember more of the good than the bad. Like, you know, when we think about, what happened to you last year? I haven't seen you, man, in a year. Oh yeah, man, I graduated from school. We had a baby, we got married. Like, we don't think about, damn, one time I had a flat. Like, you know, I lost my job. Like, we think about the good moments. We're designed, our bodies, our brains are designed to like protect us from pain and like project the good. And so it's like, if we can kind of sometimes go back to just the basic instincts that we have, it leads us to faith. It leads us to feeling that more. So it's just a scientific little tidbit there. But yeah.
Hey,
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
where you taking notes on?
Mentally, brother. Mentally, my brother.
He ain't gonna remember.
Well, Tate, what's the first segment of the day, man? What we get into?
Man, so the first segment of the day, we got a chance to learn a little more about you, bro. We got a chance to see how we really feeling.
Yeah.
But I want to get into the first segment. We get into Check That What Speaks.
Check that what speaks, man.
All right, so Check That What Speaks. Check That What Speaks is basically, I'm a thinker, right? I just sit there and that's how I always been, just daydreaming. You can be talking to me and I'd be like, I'd be somewhere else. I'm here, but I'd be somewhere else. So this what this segment is about, just the random thoughts that go on in my head, right? But this is not so random because I heard this on the Breakfast Club recently. And you write books, and I say books is a great place to escape. You can be reading, and you can be, depending on how you're reading, you can be on a whole journey. And imagination can exist. So let's talk about Santa Claus, right? So it was this whole altercation back and forth about, should you tell your kids if Santa Claus is real? I mean, Santa Claus exists or not? Or should you just let them know that I bought the presents? My personal opinion, I think that I'm going to tell my kids about Santa Claus. I mean, because a lot of people are like, well, they grow up not believing God. They grow up questioning God and all. It's like, well, as a person who believed in Santa Claus when he was little, was I crushed when I found out it wasn't real? A little bit. But you also start to see your parents wrapping presents out the wild anyway. But I think certain things, certain things you look at, like, I never questioned if God was real because Santa Claus wasn't real. It's like you once you get older, you realize that some things are just to let a kid be a kid and have fun. Like telling the Easter Bunny exists, or like they're not gonna go up like they don't care who bought the presents. They don't care if the next door neighbor bought the presents, bro. They're not gonna really be like, oh, next door neighbor bought this phone. Nobody want this. They just they just want to have fun. So it's like it's a innocent bake cookies. You get to experience the whole thing. You grow out of it when you start to realize, okay, that wasn't real, but I know God real.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. What's your thought?
I mean, so it's funny you say that, because as a dad, I have always loved Christmas, even before I had kids. But like now, I believe in letting my kids be my kids. I believe in letting them be 7. Like they're 7, have twins. And just like letting them be kids. So like this December, has everybody seen Polar Express?
Yes.
Okay, so we went to the Polar Express.
His favorite movie, wasn't it?
Is it your favorite movie? No. So we went to Polar Express. So across the country, there are like train stations. They do like Polar Express rides. So like they get the kids. You wear your pajamas. You get on the train. They have the homeless guy to come and do a little dance, and they do like the hot chocolate dance. And then like somebody comes and reads the book, and then you stop. So then you like head towards the North Pole on the train. And like 60 minutes into your ride, you stop to pick up Santa. And so Santa like comes on the train. He has like his duffel full of toys. They get their first like gift of Christmas. You get a cookie, and it's just like a whimsical thing. Like Christmas is my favorite holiday next to my birthday, because my birthday is a holiday.
Amen.
Better talk your stuff.
But like
know,
Christmas
right.
is not just because of Jesus, like, but also it's the only time in the world where everyone seems happy. Where everyone's
1000%.
getting like all the time we're actually like being kind to each other. Oh, you can pull over in front of me in traffic. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like we're kinder to our coworkers. We're kinder to ourselves. We get to spend time with family. And it's like the only time where the world seems okay. And so for me, it's like, no, let the kids be the kids. But one thing that I always made sure that my kids knew was that Santa and I work in collaboration. And so like, Santa got you these things, and then I got you this stuff. Or like we have to go to bed because Santa can't come down the chimney until you guys are asleep. Of course we do the cookies, but we do the time that I like because I have to eat them. So like we don't do milk. We do almond milk because I'm lactose intolerant. So it's like
Santa wanted.
So it's like we make sure that we incorporate both because it's just important. And I think like not just again like as a Black man and like having Black boys, we only have so long before we're not considered kids anymore. And so like for me, I remember like 10 kind of being the last time I had a birthday party until I was like an adult, and so like our innocence ends so much sooner than our counterparts, or even with Black girls. And so like for them, they only have a few more years before they're no longer considered children. And like for them, they're also tall. Like my older son, he's 4'9" and he's 7. So like he's already above like all of his classmates. So like next year, we're gonna have to have the police conversation because you're gonna look a lot older than you are. And so it's like I protect their innocence as much as possible while they still have it. And if they get to that point where they're like, you know what, Dad, it's cool, you can stop. Like then that's cool. But I want them to be kids for as long as possible. We still do like the Tooth Fairy, we still do the Easter Bunny,
right, bro.
But also like explaining to them that this coexists with our real world, so that way they're loopy. But yeah, it's a part of still just letting them be kids while they can.
I'll go with y'all. Go ahead.
Huh? Oh, okay.
I'll go ahead.
I think that's really sweet that you still let your kids be kids, because my parents, they let it ride for as long as they could. But what they did is they had gifts from Santa, but they also were like, hey, Mom and Dad did some stuff too.
Yeah.
So I think that was... You hear me now?
You were just a little bit far. Keep going.
My bad. I didn't realize how far I was. But yeah. But I like how you brought up the point about how, like, nowadays, well, not even just now, but just in general, like, we're more grown up in society's eyes than we actually are.
Absolutely.
And having that conversation, I can't remember what age I was whenever we had that conversation about Santa Claus isn't real. I never believed in the Easter Bunny. I was like, okay, candy and an egg, that's dope. But I'm sorry. This is just my
Easter
thought
Bunny
process
didn't really
as a
last
kid.
long for me either. It was more so Santa.
Literally, because we did like the Easter egg hunt at church, and I'm like, okay, I saw y'all putting these eggs out here.
We seen it.
So you're trying to tell me that Bunny
they ain't
did
trying to have
that?
that
I
one.
think
Absolutely
there's less of like a thing with the Easter Bunny. I mean, it's just, and I think like growing up in the church, it's very obvious like what it should be about. So it's like, oh, okay, cool.
I know why though.
Candy. Yeah,
because the Easter egg hunt typically took place in the evening.
Yeah.
Like so, but in Christmas you open presents in the morning so they can sneak it.
Yeah.
You can't really sneak it in the evening. And all the kids
They
up by that
already
point.
like
It's
threw it out there when
all right,
having
here.
main service.
Go buy these eggs and go outside.
Yeah, for real. Honestly and truly, yeah.
So we were talking about, creativity and how like joy and how Santa Claus and all these different, imaginative figures or whatnot, kind of help shape who we are as a culture, as a society, and it really helps shape happiness. You are an author, right? You're an author, a bookstore owner. How do you, as an author, take, I guess, that same level of joy and creativity and put it into your work to give to other people?
Ooh, okay. So I got to tell you a story.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the eye contact thing. Do y'all mind if I give you a story? No.
I love it.
So picture this. It is a very humid classroom.
Close my eyes.
And this very skinny, this skinny white man with blonde floppy hair and glasses comes in, and it is the first day of school, and he's like, "Welcome to creative writing." I put mine on silent. It wasn't me. But no, and so he tells us the first day of school, and welcome to creative writing. Welcome to your first day of middle school, and you are going to become an author, right? So imagine you are 11 years old, 12 years old, and this white man tells you you're going to be a writer, right? And so you're just like, oh, well, I don't know the first thing about writing a book. I don't know the first thing about telling a story. And so this white man, like, opens your eyes to everything that you never knew. You're very upset because your parents have been very pro-black your whole life. And all of a sudden the man is telling you, anyway. But yeah, so he's telling you that you're about to become something that you never thought was like a possibility. And so like you think authors are old people with like big beards and they don't have anything to do. They have all these cats. And then you realize they're like, no, an author is anybody that can tell a story. And so for me, that was like the light bulb like going off in my head. It was like, oh wait, I can tell a story. I can do this. And that's kind of pretty much how it started. I started as a kid with an active imagination, right? And so my first book, Across the Stars, I wrote in 7th grade, right? When I first met Mr. Moore, that's the teacher. And I was like exposed to like character development, exposed to like what world building looks like, exposed to all these different elements that create a story, and they like really made me happy. And I used to be an extremely shy child. And so until I found music in like middle school, but it showed me that I could be whatever I wanted to be on a page. I didn't have to bother anybody. I didn't have to do anything else. I could just sit and write. And that's just kind of how I kind of brought joy, and it built from there. And so it was that particular class was the reason I became a teacher eventually. That was the reason why I studied English in college. Like it opened every door for me. And so for me, like writing now is not only therapy for me, it's my escapism. It is every outlet that I feel. And so I pour so much joy into it. And then like sharing that with people when I'm teaching courses or whatever, like it's a beautiful thing. And so joy just looks like creation. It just looks like creation. It just looks like, even if it's not a happy topic, because I'm also a very dark writer. So like, it's like finding a balance, but it's just the expression of like getting it out. It's the escapism. Yeah. So that's just how I put joy into it.
Yeah, I was going to say, bro, first of all, you just told my entire life, besides the beginning of the white man. I ain't get that part. But even to being the shy person that found his voice through music and storytelling, like that was me. Like my favorite part of the TCAP, I failed everything else.
Right. That was a wrong.
No, I get what you're saying. My favorite part of the TCAP was I did decent on everything else. My favorite part, I couldn't wait till we get to the writing part because I always got mad because I ran out of the room. I'm like, oh man, I was just telling him how Saturday met Billy. I used to be going. Like I think I failed one writing assignment, and that's because it was more so grammar issues or whatnot. Like that was hard on that.
You can't spell.
But it wasn't even spelling. It was just like that was hard on the way you frame the sentences. That's when I learned how to do MLA format and all that. But it's fun that you say that, bro, because most shy people typically have a voice. They just need to find where they can use it the most.
Their microphone. They need to find it.
It's something right.
And for me, it was literally creative writing where I found it. And I was like, wait a second, if I can write a story, I can write a song. If I can write a song, then I can I can record it and just like close my eyes. And if I can do that, then I can write a script. And I can, wait a second, I can then go make a movie. And so that's a whole nother conversation. But
because typically, if you're the shy person, and you are the creative inside your own head anyway, you're already making movies. Like I'm pretty sure something can happen outside. And if you were put to the challenge to paint a whole different scenario, you can literally go through about what could happen next and what you can really write the whole script without writing the script.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the way I am also. So when it comes to that, when it comes to tackling your writing process, if somebody asks you like, what is your writing process? Do you have one, or is it just like what is your writing process?
I just got happy. I just got happy.
Nah, you good.
No, I just got happy. No,
it.
so like my writing process, I wait till my kids are asleep. I have a desk. I have a space at home that's just dedicated for writing. Because a part of it is like setting the mood. It's just like like intimacy in a relationship, not sexual, but like just intimacy in general. You know, you have to make it special. You have to like set a space for it.
1,000%.
1,000%.
Yeah.
So I have a space that's just dedicated for writing, and I put my headphones in. Turn on whatever playlist that I have. So like, for example, the book that I'm currently working on, it's like dark and greedy. So I've been listening to a lot of neo soul, which is not dark and greedy. But it just kind of puts me in the headspace. A lot of Don Richard.
Get the feng shui going.
Yeah, get the feng shui going. And then I just go. And so like my whole thing is like, when I say go, I don't just like start typing or however long form I do it. I literally just start focusing on like my plot line. Like, what do I want to accomplish today? And so, like, what do I want this to look like? Where was my character yesterday when I wrote? Let's like to start here. Like, where do I want them to go? And I literally map out a story. And so writing can be one or two things. You can literally just go in free form, type it however you want to, and then like sit a stop, or you can plan it out. I'm a planner. And it's just, you know, I'm also a PK or preacher's kid. So very much write the vision, make it plain. And so I write out like what I want to occur in my story, and then I map it out. And so by mapping out, I literally have sheet paper that I put on my wall, and I like write down my plot points. I write out what dates I want to get stuff done. I literally structure it so much because you can have chaos, but it needs to be organized chaos. And so once I map out my story for like however much I want to write that particular day, then I'll set my timer. Because again, OCD with time management, that's a whole other thing. And so I like give myself 2 hours. Because I'm old, and so I still need to go to bed by a decent hour. So I'll give myself 2 hours. And then I say, by the end of the 2 hours, I want to have X done. And so once I look at that plot map and I see, like, for example, I want Jake to go to State Farm to pay for a check or whatever, right? So then I have that. So for the next 2 hours, I'm working on what this scene looks like. How is Jake getting to State Farm? What happens when he gets to State Farm? Like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And then I have 120 minutes to do just that. Now, is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. Will there be some grammatical errors? No, because I majored in ELA. But if I didn't, then it might be. Will it have like some dialogue that's choppy or trash? Probably. But I have a canvas that I now can create a better masterpiece on. And so once that 120-minute timer goes off, sit back, take a break, get up, stretch. You know, my playlist should be done by that point. And then I kind of look up what I have. And then I know, okay, tomorrow I'm going to come back to this same piece and let's fix it. Right. And so like that's the writing process. And I repeat that until I get to a comfortable space where it's like I can send this off to my editor. Because it's very important as a writer to have a professional editor, not your best friend, but like someone who actually majored in English and actually knows what they're doing. Because you want your product to be the best product it is. And the cheapest way to do that is to go to your local college, go to the English department, find a TA who doesn't have a really huge caseload, or find an English major and ask them, hey, would you be willing to, for, you know, whatever your fee is, or do you have a fee? If you don't, then you negotiate, hey, I have $100 that I have for this particular project. How do you feel about potentially like me contracting you to do this, right? And then you like come up with a contract, because everything should be in writing, and then you allow them to do that, right? And so once you do that, then cool, great. But like the whole process of it, that's what that looks like. You know what I mean? And so you give yourself timelines. I work on a timeline, right? And so everybody's not me, which is fine. But it's best to give yourself a timeline, right? And so a lot of people who want to be writers, they say, man, I had this story since I was 17. And man, well, why do you not have it written? Why is it not written, right? So you set yourself a time limit, hold yourself accountable, and get it done. And so I give myself like a 9-month timeline for life to happen, for whatever. And I set that time, and like by the end of that 9 month, I should have a copy ready to send off to a professional to get it edited. Then I like meet with people who can do cover art and figure out how to do the structure and figure out how I want to promote it. And then by the end of that, I have a copy of something that can come out like sooner than later. But that's the short and brief thing. Wow. But you know, sign up for my masterclass for a more detailed approach. But yeah, that's kind of no, because the masterclass.
When's the masterclass?
Yeah. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, let us know.
We
It's gonna
just
happen.
we just dropped it, but so seriously, when I first opened my bookstore, we did like several writers workshops, right? And so we didn't do an ebook because guess what? I make money each time you do a workshop, right? So you're cutting into my check there, friend.
Touche.
But like you seriously, because like writing is not a one session take all. Like you literally have to break it into pieces, right? And so it's like you introduce people to like what it looks like to write. What is the art of writing? And then you go into genres, right? And so each different genre has a different style in which you need to express that, right? And then so once you get through that, then it's how do you pre-write? How do you plan your novel? You shouldn't just go into it, have an idea and start writing. How do you plan it? And then there's a drafting stage. That's kind of like you do in school when you're like writing a paper. You don't just, until you get to grad school, then it's whatever. But like before that, it's a process, right? So there's usually like 5 or 6 sessions.
Look,
That's
like
nice.
Go ahead.
I hear you talking about how was it Mr. Moore
Yeah.
that inspired you to become a writer, and you talk about how you collaborate with people in the English department and just the master classes that you have. What are some ways that you engage the students or just people in general that are not necessarily like readers, that don't like they see a book and they're like, I don't care to read that. Like, what do you do to get people engaged to want to start reading more, to even write?
So there are 2 different ways. So I'm going to need your help to remind me because I'm going to forget.
Okay.
This grade means that I'm older. Sometimes we're right on. So I'll start with readers first, then we'll go right. I need you to remind me for writers.
Okay, I got you.
So with readers, it's all about making it appealing, right? And so there are a zillion self-published authors out there. Nowadays, it's very easy just to get your product out there. But the whole point about it for readers is what piques my interest. And so it's not just being like, hey, I wrote this fantasy novel. Please read it. You don't know if I like fantasy. Like, you don't know if that's like my thing. It's finding your market as a reader. So if you know that, like, let's say that you write we were just talking about this. I'll use it for example. You know, you like fantasy, go where the fantasy readers are. Go find you a tabletop game store in the city. Those people are playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like, go in there and be like, hey, I'm writing this book. It's kind of like this. I think you might really like it. Are you a reader? Because guess what? Those tabletop games are inside of what? A comic book store. So you have a market right there of people who have nothing but time because they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. No shade. But like, be like, hey, I have this product coming out. Would you be willing to be a beta reader? Like, can I send you a copy of this? Like, would you be interested? 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh, that's their thing. So it's like, absolutely. What is it about? It's a Black Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just creates a whole conversation, right? And so now you begin to build a relationship. So for readers, if that's an in-person thing, it's all about finding your market. If you're doing it in a digital landscape, then it's creating very creative videos on like getting your product out there, displaying your cover art, giving a brief synopsis of your book, like finding reading communities. It's very easy. Search a hashtag on TikTok. Book Talk if it's TikTok. Bookstagram if it's Instagram. Search the hashtag. You'll find readers literally right there. Send a DM. This is what I'm working on. This is what I have. I'm trying to put it out there. Would you be willing to read it? And so that's kind of how you do that for readers. So like for me, anytime that I put a book out, I go and search the hashtags for that market for their book. So like my most recent was a collection of poetry. And so I literally hashtag Black men poetry. Saw the people that were listed in the most frequent or whatever on the timeline, send a DM. Hey, I'm releasing this published book, this poem collection that's for Black men, Would you be willing to read it in exchange for a review? Tit for tat, right? Because it's still business. I need you to do this, but I also need you to give me a return, right? And so the return is that you do this video for me in exchange for this book. I send it to you, digital copy, that way they can't steal it. And then you get your product back, and then that's how you expose them in a digital landscape. Everything is digital. So if you're using younger people or like looking for a younger market, go digital. Yeah. Now what did I actually do? Remind me of?
The writers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
thanks, Dane.
So when it comes to writers, it's finding, again, the relatability. So when I did my first series of workshops, we had people who had finished products and people who like really were just kind of ready to get off their butt and like finally do something. And it's all about relatability. The best way to find a connection for people, whether they're novices or experts, is again, relatability. What do you like? What's your favorite show in the whole wide world?
Y'all gonna judge me. I have two.
Okay.
Degrassi and Family Guy.
Oh.
Say it again.
Degrassi and Family Guy.
Okay. So Degrassi. So you like Degrassi. So that means
Love
you
it.
like high school drama, unplanned pregnancies, Manny in a thong, and theater
Hold
drama,
on,
right?
Manny in a thong.
Started from Degrassi, now
Yes,
we
it
here.
is.
You know, and so you like people in wheelchairs who get shot because they talk their mouth too
The
much.
Champagne Mommy.
Nothing has
Okay.
changed, you know. He wasn't scared. So like those are things that you like, right?
Whoa,
And so now you want to write a book. Guess what you have right there? You have an ideal in your head. This is the
Yeah.
perfect thing that you like. Now mirror that. Now, when we say mirror, we don't mean copyright infringement. We mean take the elements that you love so much and put it on paper. So you
Okay.
like Degrassi. So let's say you want to write a YA or a young adult fiction drama that takes place in a school. You already know what a high school looks like.
Right.
So describe Degrassi's high school for me.
Growing up, I used to think it was like immaculate. You know, like the lockers, the computer room set up, the classrooms. It was just so cool to me.
So guess what you just did? You just described your setting.
Oh.
Right. And so you're a novice. You've never done this before, but you've
Yeah.
already decided your title is something with a high school. So you got there with a question mark there because you're pre-writing. You have your setting. You said an immaculate high school with lockers. And so now you have to come out, figure out how to describe that.
Yeah.
What does a high school look like? So the lockers, are they new? Are they newly painted? Are they worn and torn and rusted? Does the high school smell fresh like linen, or does it smell like the mixtures of several different ethnicities in the same building? Does it smell like wet dog? Like, what does it smell like? And so once you have those pieces, you start to pull it. It becomes easier, right?
Yeah.
Who's your main character? Let's say it's Manny. How would you describe Manny? So it's like pulling those things out of a person who's just doing it. And then if it's a person who's writing and has been doing it for a while, they're going to feel like they know everything. We'll go with you. Describe your book to me. No, don't, because they'll steal it. No, you won't, because y'all are good people.
You can't.
Okay,
Because I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, so let's see. What's the most recent book that you read that the general public might know?
The most recent book, probably Dune.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yay, Dune, yay.
Oh, you know what? Okay.
So
the
Dune.
one before then.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Let's say
Okay.
you wrote Dune. Okay.
Okay.
How would you describe Dune?
Okay. Privileged family inherits a desolate world. But bam, something unexpected happens, and guess what? Messiah rises from the ashes and takes vengeance.
Wow. So thank you so much for coming to my workshop. I love your idea. However, it sounds so much like Star Wars to me. Right? So this is an experienced writer. So they're going to be set in their ways. Because guess what? I've been doing this for a long time. I know what I'm doing. I've read and I have 14 spinoffs with Dune. I am this person. Yeah, that's great. But it still sounds like this more popular series
That's fair.
that actually can win awards. And so, because Dune hasn't won anyway. And so that's great. So how can we workshop there, right? How can we take what you have and make it better? When you say desolate and you say this, it makes you think of Tatooine, which is a sand planet.
That's true.
Same thing with the Messiah, same thing. How can we make this better? Right? Because everyone has room to grow. And so with an experienced writer, let's find the element and poke holes in the plot. Not because I don't think you're a great writer, but how can I elevate your work?
How can you challenge that
How
person?
can I challenge that person?
1,000%.
Yeah. And so that's the two differences in that.
1,000%. Well, before we move on to the next segment, I do want to ask you one question about kind of your trajectory into, you're an author, you grew up writing and finding a love from writing from that creative writing class. I could actually relate to that a lot because my creative writing class is also where I kind of found my love for writing. But how did you take wanting to be an author and to share your stories with the world to becoming an owner of a bookstore? How did that process work?
So very sad story. So I was so my background is education. I was a teacher for way too long. And I was still teaching at the onset of the pandemic and teaching virtually. I was teaching 6th and 7th grade at the time. So I had kids who literally didn't have technology. They had to figure out technology and we're all working through it together. And it was an extremely stressful time. And then we started having parents to die of COVID while they were at home. And so we go from like a kid having 2 parents to 1 while they're still being forced to figure out school at the same time, transitioning to multiple classes online. And then I had a 6th grader who committed suicide. Due to the isolation. They were our only child and their mom was a nurse. And so the mom lost a child. And I remember specifically like realizing, I was like, wait, this kid hadn't been to school in like a while. And so reached out to the principal and I was like, hey, hadn't seen so-and-so, I'm concerned because this kid loves creative writing, woulda woulda. And that's when we found out they committed suicide. And then I had another student to commit suicide. And I was just like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And so I remember I was getting evaluated, had a virtual observation from admin, and I was in the class and we were talking about sentence structure and how to like create the perfect sentence for your story or whatever. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I was like, I'm stopping. I was like, I'm sorry, vice principal, whoever. I don't really have it in me to like sit here and like grandstand for you right now. We're all like going through a loss. None of us could go to the funeral because of COVID. You know, it was limited back then. So I think it was like 10 or 15 people that could come to funerals. So we weren't able to go to the funeral. We weren't able to say our final goodbyes. Like the last time I saw you, you were in a square. And now I'll never see you again. And I was just like, I don't have it in me to like still do this. And I was like, you know, we're going to switch the lesson plan. We're just going to have a conversation. Like, how are you doing? You know,
how you really feel.
How do you really feel? You know what I'm saying? How do you really feel? What makes you happy? What do you look for? And so we just kind of started having free flowing conversations, and kids who had their cameras off for like weeks finally started turning them on to like have a conversation because it became human. And I was like, you know, when now we talked about that, what do you want to happen with your life when the pandemic ends? Hopefully it will, because at this point it's like September 2020. We don't have no idea.
Yeah.
And they started telling me like their dreams. I can't wait to go play soccer again with my friends. I can't wait till we actually have football games and like this, and it. And they were like, Mr. DeMoir, what about you? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I literally had to sit and think about it because it wasn't a moment for me. It was a moment for them. They had a classmate that was there one day and wasn't. And so like, it was more so for them to process their grief. And I was just like, I don't know. Let me think. I was like, well, when I retire many years in the future, like I would like to be a male version of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I want to be in a bookstore with like all of these books and just happy. And like, that's what I want to do. And I was like, but that's not right. I mean, that's after the pandemic. Hopefully it doesn't last that long. And they were like, well, why wait? And I was like, you know what?
Wow.
You're like, right. Why wait? I was like, I am well off. And that's another story. We'll talk about that at a later date. But I was like, I'm well off. I don't have to just wait 20, 15, however many years to do it. It's like, I can do it now. And so I literally the next day went and made a business plan. And it was like my second business plan. There was a business previous, like prior to that. But when I made a business plan and I was like, what do I need to do to make this happen? And so I started doing research, went and like registered my business, did all the stuff that you're supposed to do legally. Because if you're a business owner, it should all be legal. And so like going through all those things and then started doing research, like where can I have a brick and mortar store? And that's when I like realized that there were no Black owned bookstores. There are 6 independent bookstores in the city and none of them are Black. Memphis is a city comprised of 63% African American as of our last census, and realizing there was no representation in the city. We have plenty of warehouses, hella warehouses, but no bookstores for us. And so I was like, let's make this happen. And when I like kind of went through the research of like, well, where are these local bookstores? Where are they? Realizing that there wasn't one in East Memphis, which is also a heavily populated?
Come on now.
You know, I was like, hey, this is a majority Black population, Hispanic population, POC population.
The first ever Black owned community was actually in the United States was in East Memphis. Orange Mound.
Orange Mound. And so, but if you tell them today that it's East Memphis, they will cuss you out because they feel like it's its own little space.
All right.
But you know, so I was like, I was like, East Memphis. I was like, absolutely. And then realizing near the school that I worked, there was no bookstore. Like the kids would have to go all the way out to Wolf Chase, or go out, you know, and I was like, you know what, let's just find a place here in my neighborhood. So that way when the pandemic does end, my kids can literally come like to this bookstore. They can buy comics and all the things we talk about in creative writing, they can find in the store. And so that's kind of how that happened. It was because a child inspired me. And so,
Shout out to the child.
Shout out. I mean, I'm a firm believer that blessings come in many shapes and forms, and that God speaks to you through people.
Yeah.
So like that right there, I'm glad that you, as a person who's been to that store, who knew like the joy that you had in it and who experienced that joy, I'm glad that you listened and that you moved forward with, you know, with what you wanted to do and didn't wait on it. You know?
I mean, it was extremely healing for me in itself. I mean, the pandemic was Well, can I be honest?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Go to the mic a little bit more,
okay,
so.
I was extremely happy during the pandemic. I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert. So I was like, I can be at home in my house where I don't have to do. And I was happy. I was fortunate enough to not have death to affect my family during the pandemic. I was home. I was enjoying my house. Because I had just purchased a home like 2 years before that, and I hadn't had time to be in it because I was always at work or always going to this or going to that. So it allowed me to slow down and really just enjoy life, enjoy being a parent, and like enjoy what it was just a whole bunch of really great things. And so when this idea like came about and this kid like inspired me, I was like, man, I want to continue this and make this happen. And so when I did it with them in mind. So I was like, hey, if y'all come by the store, you get a discount. Like, and I started this program where any child under the age of 18, if they came to the store, they didn't leave empty-handed. And so it's just because books are extremely expensive. But then you realize like the lack of accessibility for books because of that. Like if a parent is struggling, especially after the pandemic, because things were literally increasing in money, like if a parent has to decide between dinner and a book, it's going to be dinner. You know, or if they're having a rough day and they want a book and they're coming for them, but then you start asking for something, now I got to put everything back. It's like, no, your kid can get a free book too. Like, it's fine. And I remember one news outlet was like, well, how do you make money if you're giving away free books? It was like, well, it doesn't hurt me to bless somebody else. I mean, what do you mean? Like, and so like that's part of the problem now, that people always think about profit, but it's more than just that. This particular book might be the book that this kid needed not to slit their wrist that day, or it's like they needed it because they have to stay up when their parents go to work. So it gets them an opportunity to have something to do while they're babysitting their siblings. So you just never know what people are going through, kids especially. But yeah, that's the short answer.
That's beautiful. I mean, seriously though, like the story that you shared, it really resonates with me because it's like you have a passion, but you also know that reality sinks in. So you may not be doing what you want to do. In this case, you are teaching, and you like to give back to kids and all that, but you also have this underlying passion for writing, and just having almost like from a place where you probably wouldn't expect it to come from, like your students, to tell you that, hey, you have a dream, go after it. I mean, that's just, it speaks to everybody. It should speak to all of y'all as well, because if you have something you want to do, the only person keeping you from doing it is yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? And of course, life's going to happen. You have obligations, you have bills, but I'm sure when you sat down and you started doing the research and all that, you still had other obligations, right? But
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and I still did both at the same time.
But you were able to do both. That's the point.
Yeah. So like I still was teaching for like a year into like the store being open because I did not want to leave these particular children. And I did both until I couldn't. Like when it got too busy and I realized like I'm going to have to transition out if I plan on like my store being successful. I did it until I couldn't. But like the thing about being a really good teacher is that your kids will still find you. They'll make their parents bring them. And so, that was fine. And part of it is sacrificing for your dream, but realizing that you're worth the sacrifice, especially if the mission is so much bigger. And so it was a mission, not just for me as a writer, but also as a business owner, but realizing that every person can have a seat at the table if you let them. And so that meant like giving independent authors an opportunity to finally have their book on a shelf. And so we had a program where we did that for a long time. So it's just, sharing the vision.
I love how you said, everybody has a seat at the table, because I feel like sometimes now people can gatekeep what makes them successful, gatekeep how they get to where they got to today. And I'm a firm believer. I think you touched on it earlier, just like giving back, because your blessings are going to come back your blessings are going to come back tenfold. And I just hearing your story and how you want to give back to the kids, how you're inspiring others, how you're helping others, that's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
I just love that. And I genuinely appreciate the fact that you do want to give back to people and help people. Like maybe somebody wants to open another Black-owned bookstore in Memphis. That would be beautiful. Like just how you're so willing to help and use your gift to bless others. That's amazing.
I mean, part of it is that so many times as Black people, we have this crabs in a barrel mentality, and realizing that it doesn't benefit anybody. You know, we have a bad rep of having bad customer service in restaurants. Just so many bad things that come with it. But it's like there's so many more positive things that come from being Black. Like I was never part of the Divine Nine, not by choice, but like you think about like how those were set up for community, for brotherhood, for sisterhood, and how have we gotten so far from that? You know what I mean? It's like now if I open a restaurant, you can't open a restaurant. But it's like, why? Like both of y'all not having the same thing. Like it's just so problematic.
And we can both be successful.
We can both be successful. You know, it's like you don't realize that. And every other culture does it but us. You know what I mean? And so I have always just been very Solange and the mentality of like choosing violence, but also being like everybody deserves a seat at the table. Very great album, but like everybody deserves a seat at the table. Just because Beyonce is my sister doesn't mean I can't be great. You know what I mean? And so it's just like really great album. You know, and so it is a really great album, award-winning album. But like, for sure. But even with that, they both won in the same year. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so it's just like that doesn't your shine doesn't take away from my shine, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So yeah.
Wow. Well, y'all. Sorry. I
was just about to go back what you just said. I do agree with the it's a seat at the table for everybody. Yeah. I use that same analogy every time when it comes to if you go to Kroger and you go on the bread aisle and you see thousands of bread, they right beside each other. They're not separated throughout the store. They're right beside each other. Yep. And it's just people are going to pick their favorite. What stood out to them? Sometimes they buy because of reputation. Sometimes they buy because it tastes better. Sometimes they buy just to support. And it's everybody making money, bro.
Yeah.
Bunny bread making money. The Kroger brand bread is making money. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. See, but Bunny bread been in business.
Bunny bread, it has somebody like that nasty bread.
That's what I'm saying. They've been in business. We've been in kids since we was kids. It's been in business. So somebody out there eating. Yeah. So I mean, but hey, man, what's next, Dane?
Well, y'all, let us know how a challenge that you faced and how you've overcome it. Tell us about in the comments. Let us know about a dream that you have and how you're going to accomplish it. Right? Because I'm sure that all of you all who are watching, all the 1,000 plus whatever who's watching, you all have something that you want to accomplish. You have some person that you envision yourself growing into. Well, how are you going to do it? Right? And I think step number 1 is writing it in the comments so you can see it for yourself. Yeah. And so you can help motivate somebody else.
You know what I'm going to write in the comments?
Go ahead.
Tay finally give me a high five.
It's over. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Let us know if you think
it's But you can manifest it though.
I'm gonna manifest. It's gonna happen.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll look at the camera and give me this one. So
I got somebody to do it.
Look, okay, so Auntie Tab, aka Tabitha Brown, said this many years ago when she first started. She said, "How you doing? Very good. I was driving my Uber and the Lord stopped me." You know, it's like her beautiful soothing voice that she has. And her advice was just to do it. She literally was just having a moment with God and like her life changed, you know, and it's just for anybody that is worried or wants to start something, do it. The most important step is just to do it. Yes, writing it down in the comments is super awesome and subscribing and making sure that you do all those beautiful things, but write it for yourself. And then whether you believe in God or whatever your higher power is, speak over it with that particular higher power and then just do it. If you want to be a content creator, just hit the button. You know, it's going to look janky at first, but like the thing is about just trying and it will eventually get better. That is how masterpieces begin. They don't just
starts messy.
Starts messy and gets better. So my advice to you is just to start.
Because even if you get huge, if you get this person to shoot it who shot Fast and the Furious and you get this person to do this, you still gonna look back at it like, I did something different. Yeah. So it's like, just start messy, man.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, take the advice. I'd say take it, especially if you're interested in doing some kind of writing or whatnot. But as you all know, we are getting into the next segment of the day, which is Guess That Figure. I love me some Guess That Figure. So usually we do this segment on Juice 901 podcast. It's either Guess That Figure or Fact or Fable. But today we're going to do Guess That Figure, where I, your host, D. Norvell, am going to give you all a list of Black authors, right? But instead of giving you the name of the author, I'm I'm going to give you something that they wrote, okay? And you have to tell me who the author is who wrote the work.
I feel like you got
Now,
no, see, this is gonna give me a bad rep.
now the more books and things. The more books and things.
I'm not
Okay.
If they don't get it right, y'all gotta get it right, okay?
Yeah,
Please let us know. Does everybody understand the rules? I'm gonna give you something. You gotta tell me who wrote it.
Are we competing?
Okay.
Or is it
Y'all
like,
are competing. Absolutely. Put
There you go.
the score on the board.
That's why he doesn't want to give me a high five.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gotta go ding, 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 ding. You gotta put it right there on the
I'm
board.
excited. Okay.
Alrighty. Let me put in the secret
I have to
password.
look up because I don't want to look at this.
No, you're not gonna see it. I'm gonna do just like this.
Okay. Man, your back's to the camera.
All right.
I'm just messing.
Guess that figure number 1. This person wrote The Souls of Black Folk.
Oh, W.B. Du Bois.
Okay, that's one.
It's definitely W.E. Du Bois.
Don't say it because he said it.
No, that's a well-known book.
It is.
All right, James Brown.
I don't know.
We need a guess.
Because just name a random person.
Martin Luther King.
Harry.
We're gonna go with that because
You're not gonna follow the author?
what'd you say?
See,
I said Harriet Tubman.
Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is?
oh God.
We've got Webb Du Bois, and Harriet Tubman. What do y'all think? Drum roll, please. The answer is W.E.B. Du Bois. You better pull them folks up by your bootstraps. Come on, y'all. Yeah, if you didn't know, that's something that he tried to talk to the president about doing and all that. Great job. Great job. But
Gary, you can't look that way and say
yeah,
great job.
I'm
It's
kind of
terrible.
disappointed.
You said Harriet Tubman.
I'm a little
Even though
disappointed.
she heard
Harriet?
the answer.
Harriet? All right.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We got other options.
I'm not the biggest reader. I'm working on that.
We
though.
can change it.
We can change it.
See, I need to go to more books.
Get on
You do.
Audible.
I'm
or-
there.
Absolutely.
Get a
Also,
Kindle, all of those things.
And things.
Yes, and things.
We need to talk about
things.
what those things are. All right. Guess that figure number 2. This person wrote Their Eyes Were Watching God.
Zora
Oh,
Neale
I
Hurston.
tried to get it. I tried to get it.
Who do you got?
See, I be knowing, but he just
What's
said
the
it
name?
fast.
What's the name?
It's Zord, man.
Zora who?
Neale Hurston.
Neil Hurston. Yeah. Hurston.
Huh?
It's Hurston.
What?
You know what I'm talking about.
Zora Neale Hurston.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm very
It's
sure.
Big Zora.
Big Zora.
Big
Big
Zora.
Z.
Come on, man.
All right. Who do y'all think it is? Drum roll, please. And the answer is Zora Neale Hurston.
Oh, can I add a fun fact?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Zora, when she died very young, she had an unmarked grave. Guess who found it?
Who?
I'll give you the book. It's my question.
Okay, okay.
The book is about a color that is also like a award-winning movie.
A color purple.
Color Purple?
Yes.
So,
And who
Oh.
wrote The Color Purple?
I know this. This
Come
gonna
on
kill
now.
me too.
I was about to say
I don't
the
know.
wrong
I'm just
thing,
gonna-
and
I got his face in my head, but
I'm
I
not
can't.
gonna lie.
Alice Walker.
Alice
So-
Walker.
Yeah, Alice.
So Alice
Alice
Walker
Walker.
actually ended up finding Zora's grave.
Oh,
You have to ask Big Alice. I don't know.
wow.
But
Big
so
A.
she ended up finding Zora's grave and ended up marking it. No, Alice still alive. Don't kill
He
her.
is?
She is still alive.
Alice
I
Walker.
say she.
But no, so she ended up finding Zora's grave and like marking it. But also end up like her and a collection of people also ended up finding works that Zora wrote that were like unpublished. And so they started finally like publishing her publications posthumously like a couple years ago. So like Hit a Lick with a crooked stick, like all these other different pieces that have come out from like many moons after Zora died, including Barracoon. Which is a story about the last black cargo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was one of her like collections they found after she died.
Yeah.
And Alice ended up like helping to get it published. But yeah, Barracoon is like, if you haven't, it's February, but let's not do trauma. March, for Women's History Month, read Barracoon. It is the story about the last black cargo, the last surviving black slave off the last. Is that Steven? Hi, Steven. Hi.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, edit that out. Sorry. I got excited. Sorry. Edit that out.
Oh, man,
Sorry.
that's funny.
No,
Nah, you good.
no, that's a really great story too. A part of the iconic status. We'll talk about it. Yeah,
Love
but no.
it.
So Barracoon is the last black surviving slave off the last black ship that came over right before the Emancipation Proclamation. His name is Cudjoe Lewis, or Kazula, which was his African name, and it's his story. Zora found him in Africa Town and interviewed him. And he tells his life story from coming over on the boat to like his whole entire like history. It's really, really interesting.
That is
I
amazing.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say it here because I don't want nobody stealing it. But I've started working on a book about this, basically the same kind of character that focuses on this person who went through the Stono Rebellion. I don't know if you know what the Stono Rebellion is, but it's about this black guy who goes through Stono Rebellion, which happens with a bunch of slaves getting picked up. I'm gonna talk to you about it. We're going, but when I just think about that, man, it's crazy. It's a crazy story.
Yeah. It's crazy to also. I think we talked about this the last time I was here. Just how just how far, like, not that long ago, slavery was. Yeah, and like with you talking about, can you repeat his name that she interviewed?
Cudjo Lewis or Kazula.
Kazula.
Yeah.
So what's really cool that I appreciate about my dad's side of the family, they keep pictures of everything. And we found this picture recently of one of our family members that was like the last slave before freedom. And it's just like, it's mind blowing to think about. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but it really wasn't that long ago.
It really wasn't. I mean, I think about, so disclaimer, Queen is my favorite novel. It's the sequel or companion to Roots by Alex Haley. Alex Haley is my favorite author. And Queen follows the paternal side of his family, where Roots follows the maternal side. And when my grandmother gave me that book when I was like a teenager, and she was like, "You'll be the next Alex Haley." And so anyway, but it's the historical thing. So Roots changed the landscape of literature, not just for Black America, but just for America, period. The miniseries changed the way in which America perceived Black people. And it showed us that we could trace back our lineage if we had funding and if we had the time. And so I was like really into genealogy, like 2016, 2015, and like literally started looking at census and figuring out. So my great grandmother, Jessie, her parents were slaves. And so we think that's just 4 generations ago. It's not that long ago. And so when we think about it, like my ancestors on my mom's side, they came from Sunflower, Mississippi, which is like 2.5, 3 hours from here, And so we think about that. We're talking literally less than 200 years ago, like less than 100 years ago. Like we're literally not that far off. You know what I mean? And so, it's literally yesterday for a lot of people.
And when I think about that same kind of thing, like I've mentioned it on the podcast before. When my parents were growing up, my mom, they could not. There were so many places they could not go to, just because they didn't serve folks that look like us. You know what I mean? I mean, that's one generation. So you think about going back a few more, and that being slavery. That's it's close.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
It blows my mind.
Like part of being an icon for me, I have a long list of accolades, but like part of that is also realizing like, when we say like we are our ancestors' wildest dream, I am literally the manifestation of that. And like what I mean by that is just that, like I said, 4 generations ago, my people on my mom's side were slaves, right? And so when I think about the men in my family, I think about the fact that my great grandfather was a sharecropper. I think about my grandfather being a musician. I think about my uncles who did the whole warehouse thing. Not that there's ever anything wrong with it, but they provided for their family, whatever. But that next generation is my generation, right? I'm the first man in my family to graduate from college, right? And so we think about that 4 generations ago, college was not a thought. You know what I mean? And so with the next generation, college was unaffordable for them. And so when we get to mine, the first one to graduate from college, the first one to buy a house, where homes were not accessible because of redlining. You know what I mean? So my grandfather couldn't buy a house. His father couldn't buy a house. They could probably build it, but did they own it? You know what I'm saying? Did they own the land? So it's like a whole bunch of things you think about that. And iconic isn't just award winning, which I am, but also just the things that we have accomplished in our lifetime. You know what I mean? And so it's just, when I think about gratefulness, I think about those types of things. Things that I was afforded that my grandfather wasn't, or my great grandfather, you know what I mean? Or things that my kids will be able to do because of me. So it's just when you think about gratefulness and think about, damn, this world is really crazy, but guess what? I'm the shit. You know what I mean? You're the shit. So it's just thinking about those things. So yes, on the flip side, it's hella wild that slavery was not that long ago. But guess what has happened since then? So it's just you can wear makeup now and not go to jail for it. You know what I mean? You can go to the salon and do those things when at first you couldn't. It's just the small things. You can go to the barber. You can wear a hat in public. It's just so many things that we could not have done.
I can speak.
You can
I can speak.
You can speak.
before I can look you in
You
your
know what
eyes.
I mean? You can walk on the same side as this white lady on the sidewalk. And she
Right.
might move, she might close her purse, but guess what? You won't go to jail for doing it.
Thousands.
So it's just the small things that we have to find to just be grateful for. But go back to the books. So
Well, we're back. It's good. It honestly is good to reminisce and think about how far we've come. And I say it all the time.
Yeah.
I do. I bring this up all the time. We have come so far, and we have our issues.
Yeah.
We still have things we're working through, but we're on the up and up.
Yeah.
As they say, we're on the up and up. And regardless of all the BS that we're going through right now, of all the sadness and despair people may be feeling right now, it's 4 years, y'all, and guess what? We're gonna be all right.
It's just our turn.
We're gonna be all right.
You know what I mean? It's just our turn.
Yeah.
You know, our grandparents had the civil rights. My grandparents got to march with King.
Mhm.
It's just our turn. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just our turn to take on the burden and figure it out. And eventually it'll be our kids' turn if the world is still here, because
Oh, it will be. It will
global
be.
warming.
It
So
will.
we'll see.
Dane
But
for
yeah,
president, 4 years.
do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
You never. I gotta be 35. I ain't there yet.
I mean, you can start with mayor,
You right.
city council.
Dane for city council.
Yeah, school
4 years
board,
now.
I mean,
You right.
you know,
Dane for school board. Dane for board of aldermen. Whatever y'all have.
mean,
Just
could.
vote me. Just
Most
write
of
me
the-
in. Just
yeah,
write me in on
most
the
of
ballot.
those is 21. So
Yeah, just write me in on the ballot. It is coming though, for real. Guess that figure number 4. This person, actually, we're on number 3. Guess that figure number 3. This person wrote, "Go tell it on the mountain."
James Baldwin. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ah!
Sorry. It was right there.
Who do you
James
think it
Baldwin.
is? No. Who do you think it is?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Baldwin.
And the answer is, drum roll, please, James Baldwin.
I'll go last next time.
You gotta
I'll
go last
I'll go
next
last.
time.
That's
Did y'all
fine.
get James Baldwin?
I
Y'all
did.
waiting on me for a minute.
That's fine.
Appreciate it.
That's fine. I'll go
Guess that
last.
figure number 4. This person wrote Invisible Man.
James Baldwin.
Them eyes kind of buck. That's kind of got wild.
H.G. Wells. Or hold on. Is that no? That's Invisible.
Invisible Man.
Invisible Man. No, H.G. Wells wrote The Invisible Man.
Why you
That's
thinking
not
over there
me.
like you actually know?
I'm just
Wait a
going
second.
through the
It's
list
the
of black
black one?
authors I
It's
know
the
in
black-
my
okay.
head.
No, H.G. Wells wrote the white one. The black one. Ooh.
Vanessa, who you think?
Oh my God. H.G. Wells did write the white one.
Where's that womp womp sound
But-
effect? 'Cause I'm like,
Can you give me the letter? Can I buy-
He starts with an R. Do.
I was
Raves
just
them on.
No. Now you know. Now you know. Now you know. It starts with an R. Ralph Emerson. No, wait. No, that's not Ralph. That's not Big Ralph.
I think you got it right. I think he's
Hold on.
right, bro.
I think it's Ralph Emerson. Because H.G. wrote the white one.
Can I write blank in this answer? 'Cause I have no
Circle
idea.
C.
Do.
'Cause C is usually always the answer.
Rachel Johnson.
Drum roll, please. The answer is Ralph Ellison.
Ellison. Oh,
Ellison.
I should get a half. I should get a half point for
Ellison.
Ralph.
We
I should get a half point for
Should
Ralph.
he get a half point?
I should.
No.
Yes.
Haters always gonna hate. Haters always gonna hate. I should get a half point. It was right. Oh,
Do-do.
Ellison.
Yeah.
You know what? It was the first name and the first initial of the last name, so that should still count.
There you go. You're
That should
right.
still
You're
count.
right. You're
That
right.
should
You're
still
right. You're right. Maybe it should. I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
You the guess. I give it to you. Last but not least, guess that figure number 5. This person wrote, "I know why the caged bird sings." Ah!
I didn't say anything.
What'd you say?
Maya Angelou.
Okay, who do you think?
About time you do something.
I know you're not talking.
I know why the cage.
No, he's not talking. Let's not go there.
Oh my goodness.
Sir. He's gonna
Maya
copy my
Angelou.
answer. Is that how it sounds?
Are you sure?
No, of course not.
Are you going with that because she said it?
Of course.
Why don't you go? Why don't
Because
you
I don't know, Dave.
think for yourself?
All right, you know what? Zero Neil Hurston.
Okay,
That's not even.
Is it my turn?
it's your turn.
Maya.
Drum roll, please. It's too late. You locked it in.
You hear that, Maya?
Maya Angelou. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get a round of applause.
Can we please hear that impression one more
Yeah.
time, please?
Maya.
Maya Angelou.
Have you heard if you do
Yes. Afion is hilarious.
that?
Is he out of jail?
Oh
yet?
man,
Evian Cracking in jail?
I mean,
I never know he went to jail.
Oh.
Wow.
We're going to talk about that at the Black History
Okay.
Month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Brothers ain't in jail during this month. Well, y'all let us know if y'all got those guess that figures right or not. If not, shame on you. You should know more about black people.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying shame. I thought I said it.
You know what?
I
He
thought
didn't know
I said
before
it.
the answer.
You're
Before he
right.
looked up the answers for the
I
questions,
thought,
he didn't know either.
This ain't about me.
Yeah.
This ain't about me.
He just wants you to read more black
But you
books.
I want you to read more black.
We
books.
need to go to DeMoir Books.
You do.
And we'll read more.
Who wrote Roots, Dane? That's easy.
That is easy.
You say it.
No, you say it.
You say it.
You don't know it. Just
You say it.
don't
And
know
we're going to the next segment of the day.
That's awesome. I love the energy here. I love the energy here. This is awesome. This is awesome.
What's the next segment? What are we talking about, Anessa?
So typically my segments are about like fashion, modeling, things of that nature. But since we have,
I can talk that.
You
That's
can?
discriminatory.
no.
You know what? You know what? So Dane is in law school, which means that there's a person who can pull up the law, and this is now an EEOC claim that I'm going to file. I have photographic and visual proof.
I'm not
I
an
can't
attorney.
give advice.
I can't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney.
No.
I graduate May 8th at 3:30
So that means
p.m.
I'm going to sue on May 9th. So here we go.
I haven't passed the bar yet.
You know what? I will wait until you do.
I'll be in
But,
Florida.
Damn it, DeSantis. Okay. All right. But no, we can talk it.
I'm not an attorney. I'm not your attorney. This is not Morgan & Morgan.
No, we can talk it. No, we can talk
Can we
it.
look this up? How do we
What
do
you
that?
got?
I got you.
What you got for fashion stuff?
So I know there are some like Law Roach.
Mhm.
Do you carry books like that or like memoirs
Yes.
of what is your favorite one?
In the fashion industry?
Yeah. What's your favorite one that you've read
that's
so far?
very easy. Andre Leon Talley, the godfather of fashion, who
Yes.
passed a few years ago.
Yes. R.I.P.
Andre is the first. Well, rephrase that. He is the most iconic black man to have ever worked at Vogue. He actually is the first black man who actually had an upper level title in Vogue.
Yep. That's true.
Him and Anna were best friends until they weren't, which happens. Like Molly and Issa. I'm rewatching Insecure right now, so
I've never watched
But
it.
we'll have to talk.
What?
We have to talk.
I'm clutching my pearl.
I gotta take some points. Andre Leon Talley changed the way in which the dandy was seen in media.
Yes.
And he modeled for a time when he was at that particular size before he gained weight and everything. But no, Andre Leon Talley.
I'm so glad you brought up the dandy because have you heard the Met Gala theme? We talked about this on the last episode.
Yeah.
What do you see, I guess, designers that aren't African Americans, that aren't people of
You mean
color?
all of them except the one? But,
What do you see designers bringing to the Met Gala with that dandy theme?
So the same thing that they usually bring. I'm not gonna say that. With the exception of Law and like a few of the smaller fashion houses, they're gonna bring the same thing. They're gonna bring the patterns. It's gonna be florals.
Okay.
It's gonna be the same thing. But I'm really excited to see what Law does with Zendaya.
Oh yes.
I'm really excited to see what Dolce wears because she was invited this year.
No, did you see what she wore to the Grammys?
I did.
I
did.
That was one of
It
my
was
top
insane.
3 outfits.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah.
We talked on the phone. I know, but
No, it was
you know
insane.
what?
But no,
It's a
I'm
beautiful
excited.
outfit.
I'm excited.
She
And I
rocked
think
it.
like for this year's Met Gala, they have like put on a bunch of really amazing black men to be on their planning committee and a few of the really amazing black queens to also represent. And I think their individual style will kind of show on the front and center stage, which I'm excited about. I'm excited for a lot of pieces. I'm excited to see who wears Alexander McQueen, who was actually my favorite designer.
Really?
R.I.P. Alexander. But I'm excited to just see the melanin invited and just how they express themselves. And a lot of the people that are on the committee, Andre 3000, Coleman Domingo. Like I'm excited to see what they come because Coleman steps out every time.
Oh
the
my God.
freshest black man.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what they come with.
When is it?
1st May.
The
First Monday
in May.
Oh.
Yep.
Sorry, that was a judgmental look. I apologize.
Nah, I never watch. I just always see the Shade Room post. I never read.
How do we get tickets? Because I want to go and watch.
Whoa! I'm sorry. You have to stop. You have to. So that's a curse word. You're gonna have to bleep that one out. You cannot. And I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on this. You cannot follow the Shade Room. You cannot follow the Shade Room. That is that out because that's important.
Okay.
No, you cannot because they do not promote beautiful blackness. They are the most derogatory news outlet. And as a person who loves entertainment news and who like follows entertainment news, for it to allegedly be our own, they are the most destructive for our race, and it's very sad.
What's called the shade room though?
It is called the shade room, but there's a difference between shade and destruction and demolition.
That's
and
a word.
So it's, when we think about she died. Joan Rivers. We think about Joan Rivers. We're talking about fashion. We think about Joan. Joan was a comedian. She also had this beautiful, amazing show where they talked about fashion, looked at red carpet looks. There's a difference between like throwing shade, which is, you know what, that's a little dry. You look a little cracked out, versus promoting horrible images and articles about the destruction of the Black community. We can do that enough by looking at the news. So but that's just my spiel. But you are your own man. You can do whatever you want to. But that's my soapbox. But back to fashion. No, so I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see a lot of the talent that we have come out and just hopefully shed light on smaller houses.
Yeah.
So
I'm really excited to see it, and I just hope that because I think like as long as I've been, I guess, like in the fashion industry, just learning more about it every day. This is like a theme that I'm the most excited about.
Yeah. Why?
Just because I feel like it's going to touch on a part of Black culture that not a lot of people knew about. I mean, every day I'm still learning more about the culture. I'm still learning more about fashion. This is something that blends both of those things.
Yeah.
So it's just really exciting to see how everybody's going to get it, to dive into like the textiles of it, like the history of it, like the icons, like just what people bring to the table. Because every year, like different fashion houses takes on the Met Gala theme. It blows my mind. It shows people's creativity. It shows like, how their brain works. Like, okay, I see this, but let me spin it into this. Let me put my own touch into it, but still bring whatever the theme is for the year.
For sure. And I think we're thinking about like the history of being a dandy and what that looked like and what that did for like the Black community. At one point, it was just like an elevated piece. Like for you to be a dandy, you were like, oh, this is awesome. And then it went from that to being like, oh, you gay. You know what I mean? And so it's just like reclaiming that, but to show that masculinity can look like so many different things. And you still get the bitches. So it's just like, it's just, I'm really excited just to see what happens and just the conversations around Black masculinity and what that looks like in a healthy space. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
No, I love that. I love it. I'm excited to see it as well. I mean, I'm not the most well-versed in fashion, but I know when we talked about it on the last episode and how passionate you were about it, it really, kind of brought those things into perspective, and it forces you to have those conversations about narratives, you know, and how something can be seen so prestigious and so high, and then it all of a sudden gets thrown at like it's supposed to be something you're not supposed to want to do.
It's so wild. And I really wish that Chadwick Boseman was still alive for this Met. Because Chadwick, like one thing he did, he pushed the envelope every Met with like just amazing couture.
Come on, Uncle.
And I definitely wish he was still here because that would be like a dope ass outfit.
Oh, bro.
I just know it.
Would get outfit of the year.
Yeah, like, for sure.
Outfit of the year.
Yeah, so I miss that, but I'm excited to see what a lot of the new talent looks. Alton Mason, I don't know if you follow like a lot of models, but he is like the most prevalent model for last season for like African Americans, just on every one way. And I'm also excited to see just a lot of the new talent that's coming out in the modeling world. Yeah. So so you didn't think you could talk it, but guess what? I got you. But no, but we do carry a lot of fashion memoirs, Anna Wintour's book, Andre Leon Talley, all of his, because he actually has more than one. People don't know that. And a lot of the fashion houses as well. We used to sell fashion books, but they are so expensive. Like the actual catalogs from after they finish the seasons, like the coffee table size. But they're still special orders. But yeah, we are an all-inclusive bookstore, so we carry everything.
I love that you're all-inclusive because you can cater to every type of person's interest. That was another question I was going to ask is like, not, I guess, like what style of books you carry, but that just answered the question. You carry something for everybody, every person, every child, every interest. So it's like literally all inclusive, and that's what we need.
I mean, and it kind of goes back to like, everybody deserves a seat at the table. Yes, I am pro-Black. I wear Africa in every white space because it is a part of my skin. But just also, just because I promote Black authors and Black books doesn't mean that I don't also promote whatever else. Right. You know what I mean? Everybody deserves a seat at the table. We just deserve a better seat. You know what I mean? And so, And that's why it's just so important to have us. And so like the independent bookstore community in Memphis is very small. So we all really know each other. It's the same 6 places that you'll see like all the time, but it's never a moment where we won't share the business. And I think it's because they're all white and I'm not. And so it's like they're more willing because they understand that just by you existing doesn't mean that I get less, if that makes it makes sense. So it's like if they know, if someone comes in and asks a book from them and they know they don't have it, they're like, oh, go to DeMoir. And the same with us. Like if there's some random book from the Caucasus Isles of Asia that somebody wants that I'm just like, I have no idea, go to Burks. Like, you know, I just tell them not to go to the one that starts with an N because it's not really independent. But other than that, like it's no, you know, it's no thing for me to do that. They say it is, but it's really not. It's run by a board. Boards aren't independent. Those are corporations.
Y'all heard what he said. You heard what he said. I'm gonna go with what he said. Well, y'all, you know, before we end up, we wrap up here today. A couple things. One, I'd like for you to talk to the people and maybe somebody who's thinking about writing or who's thinking about starting maybe not even a bookstore, but who's thinking about getting out and doing something brick and mortar. Can you leave the people with some kind of advice and then tell them how they can find you and how they can get engaged with you and maybe join one of those master classes that you're talking about?
For sure. So let's start with what you should do. Everything is always important for it to be legal. Google is your best friend in that sense. You Google, if you don't know how to start a business plan, Google business plan template. If you don't know how to register your business, Google registering a business in the state of Tennessee. If you want it to be a for-profit, Google starting a business for-profit, or if it's a nonprofit, because there's so many different nonprofit codes and styles. Google is your best friend. And once you Google those things, before you start filling stuff out and spending money, call those offices first to see if there are any new updates, because sites are updated all the time, but sometimes aren't reflected. And just get it out, like start it. If it's a business, if it's a dream, if it's something as simple as like becoming a content creator, just finding the best way to do it for yourself. Be your authentic self, because the viewers are going to see that regardless of how often you fake it. And just be your authentic self at all times. Like write the vision, be authentic, and follow through. You can only disappoint yourself by not doing that. No one else is going to be disappointed other than you if your dream doesn't happen. The world is finicky. So as long as you're consistent with what you want, then that's the part that matters the most. The world does not care if you are successful or not. You do. Your friends may or may not. Your family may or may not, but you do. And that's the part that matters the most. If you want to start something, just do it and keep it legit. Keep it legit. Make sure that your money is put in the places it should. Get a business account that is separate from your personal, because you got to pay taxes. And also, that's the other thing too, taxes. You have your sales tax if you're selling merchandise. You have your business tax. You have your quarterly filings to do. It's a lot of stuff than just saying I'm a business owner and I'm doing it. It is expensive to own a business, but if you do it right, eventually it'll begin to pay off. Last most important piece. Your first year will be your hardest, because that is the first year where you are burning through money in order to get to your second year, which is your profit year. Usually if you do it right, your margins will start to turn black by then. So hang in there. It's going to be difficult, but hang in there and bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. That's what I got. Right. Where you can find me. That's important. I'm Jay DeMoir. If you want to read any of my books, of course, go to demoir-books.square.site to buy any of my 17 novels. Currently working on my 18th novel.
Come on now.
If you are wanting to shop with us, you can either shop on the website or in our physical store, 55 South Main Street. That's Memphis, Tennessee, 38103. No, I don't know sign language. But yeah, and if you want to follow us, we are on all social media platforms at DeMoir Books. And then if you want to follow me personally for my amazing journey, I'm Jay DeMoir on all social media platforms.
Thank y'all as always for tuning in to another episode of Juice 901 Podcast. Again, you can follow us on all platforms at Juice 901 Podcast. And if you don't like social media, guess what? We've got Gmail at juice901talk@gmail.com. So reach out to us if you'd love to be on the show. We want to give a big thank you, a huge thank you to our guest. Once again, you can see him at DeMoir Books and Things. Right?
This is factual.
Yeah, this
online
is factual.
And in person.
Online and in person. So if you like to read, this should be the only place where you're making your pit stops at.
This is factual.
And as always, thank y'all for tuning in.
For sure. Who got the juice?
We got the juice.
You guys do.
Let's get it. Juice 901.
Yeah. Bow.